Kaz finally joins the Aces. Meanwhile, over on the other side, Tam begins training as a First Order TIE Fighter pilot. I'm John Barry, and today I'm going to be reviewing the third episode of the second season of Star Wars Resistance, Live Fire. Which is actually kind of interesting because only one of their training exercises involved live fire, that being Tam's with the First Order. Meanwhile, Kaz is training in Air Corps because there was really more training for the benefit of the Aces. They depowered the weapons and so used essentially stun blasts. But yes, let's actually get into the review proper and not just take a note at the interesting thing about the title I just for some reason decided to point out. So, before we get into my review proper, I do want to say if you enjoy this video at any time, please feel free to like the video, and I also would like to hear what did you think of this episode and what did you think of my review. Do you agree with me, disagree with me? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, just throwing this in here, consider checking out any of those things down there. There's social media, Patreon, Discord, website, all those down there. Feel free to check out if you so please. Now on to the review. So as I kind of alluded to before, Kaz joins the Aces and they're doing training exercises. This training is more for the benefit of the Aces rather than Kaz or Igor, who Captain Doza appointed to lead the Aces because because Igor's a combat veteran from the Galactic Civil War. So Igor as a rebel pilot, he knows how to fight basically Imperials. And actually this is the episode that probably gives us the most lines from Griff, the ex-Imperial who's among the Aces. And it's clear that he was dissatisfied with the Empire he is from here. Like, he made the comment that, if I remember correctly, I gotta remember the conversation of course, but Hype basically says that he kind of more cares for himself and his mentality and imparting, and Griff pretty much responds like, the Empire's, mentality of you focus on yourself as a pilot and not on your wingmates is why they lost. Like, Griff specifically says that basically the Empire lost because their pilots didn't care about their fellow pilots. That's kind of interesting. Like, that's the reason why Griff, a ex-TIE pilot, thinks the Empire lost. You talk to maybe other ex-Imperials, they might put the blame on something else in the Empire or just blame the rebels. The rebels might say, hey, we were able to defeat the Empire because we took the Emperor down. But the idea that maybe different people have different interpretations of what was the key thing that caused the Empire to fall is kind of neat. And that one line by Griff really made me think of that this one part thinks it's their basically starfighter doctrine is why the Empire failed. Which I would say is a good part because the Rebel starfighter doctrine is probably one of the big reasons why the Rebels won so many of the major space battles in the original trilogy / Galactic Civil War. Though if we transition away from that and look more at the other Aces, all the other Aces except for Griff are pretty much just racers first and a little bit of combat training. Griff is like the only one who had previous combat training, and all the others don't. So what Igor and Kaz do is they run training exercises on an ice, I think it was an ice moon. Kind of looked like they kind of reused some of the set design from a Rebels episode. Seriously, it's like very similar, except for maybe a bit better visibility. But it's the episode of Rebels where they get a B-wing prototype. Very similar environment, just one's and just here Resistance. It's an ice moon instead of just a very dusty fog cliffed planet moon. I forget, but it kind of looks the same. So it kind of almost makes me wonder, did they redraw a planet in a new environment? Yeah, I wouldn't blame them, but that's not the important part. What really is hype. Seriously. he basically needs to learn how to be a team player, how to be a team member for the Aces. Like, he can't just go on his own. And that basically caused, in the first training exercise the Aces did, that's why the Aces failed to complete their task. Because Yigu and Kaz basically ambushes them part of the training exercises because they're the most skilled pilots, or most combat skilled pilots, is more or less what they were going for there, probably why. Yigu is an old veteran, and Kaz is probably not too far out from being actually trained by the military. And what this episode also does show, again, it reinforces that Kaz is at his strongest, skill-wise, particularly when he's in a cockpit. That's where he shines. But we also do see, there are some flaws, like, the New Republic, we'll get to the First Order later, but the New Republic trains its pilots, yes, in combat, but that seems like about it. Like, problem solving does not seem to be a huge part. Maybe some, but like, during their second training exercise, they encounter a problem. Like, they saw this ice moon was uninhabited, but there's some kind of creature there and it large creature that grabs Yigo's ship and prevents him from escaping. And like Kaz remarks, everyone looks to him because he's had formal combat training on what to do, and he says, "This isn't what I was trained for." Like, he was kind of trained probably mostly to take on, pirates and patrol space lanes and that kind of stuff. He really wasn't trained for not normal situations. Which I think is good to kind of contrast, because it's good contrast, I think, with how, we see oftentimes in the Clone Wars and Rebels, like, Rebel and Clone Jedi pilots all come with intriguing ways of solving unique situations that training would not have covered. And that happens too. But it's Hype who figures it out, which is the completion of his arc in this episode. His arc is to learn to be a team player, and he does by realizing, hey, we can save Vigo, but we got to work together. He realizes that and realizes what to do. Target the ice comes, not the creature, so the creature gets distracted when the ice comes fall on it, so Yigo can have the opportunity to escape. Hype figures that out, and that's the completion of his arc. He still may be a little bit arrogant and all that, but like he realizes that he can't fight the First Order, and he can't protect the Colossus solo. He needs to work with the other Aces. That's what he learns. That's his arc in this episode. After the Aces' first training exercise, they're all pretty much mad at Hype. Hype goes to Anzi's bar, asks for her spiciest drink. She gives him water because that's all she has. And she tells him if supplies get any lower, you're going to have to pay for that. That's again kind of referencing that the Colossus needs supplies, which I would not be surprised is the next episode. Got to wait and see on that. But after that, Kaz comes in, tries to talk with Hype, fails miserably. You kind of see that this is one area that he's not that skilled for, like he doesn't really know how to talk to Hype and all that. But then Toro comes in, and she is shown to know how to talk to Hype. She plays to his pride, his ego, and such, to get him to essentially do what's good for everyone. Kind of a little bit of manipulation, but like, she essentially knows which buttons to push, which buttons not to push. Basically, she knows how to talk to Hype that Kaz simply doesn't know. Which I think is a good thing to show, because it also shows that, hey, Kaz, he doesn't know the Aces that well, except for maybe Toro, who he probably knows the best, simply because they're closer in age and such, and they've been paired together in way more episodes, so we get to see their characters developed together, while with Hype and those Aces, Kaz has barely interacted with at all. So that's kind of, while we aren't really shown this, we're told and it can be inferred that the aces know each other somewhat well. So it stands to reason, like, Kaz want to know how to talk to Hype, but Toa? Yeah, she'll probably know how to talk to Hype. So let's move on from that to the parallel, the contrast, if you will, with how the First Order does its TIE Fighter pilot training. And it's very different. They use live fire in their training exercises, so and it's further emphasized that the pilots are disposable. If they can't survive, then they don't deserve to survive. A very much survivor of the fittest mentality, which this just draws some historical parallels. When that's applied to the social order, bad things generally happen. I'll just direct you to the 1930s and 40s in Centralist Europe, and some land that's now a very prosperous country. The country has always had a strong economy, more or less, except for during one period of time, probably because it's just, the center of Europe, so everything's going through there. But anyhow, regardless of that, certain country, you know what I'm talking about. I'm avoiding it because who knows how YouTube reacts, because they're kind of oversensitive these days. But yes, when you apply the survivor, the fitness mentality from Darwin, theory of evolution and all that, to social things, it just goes downhill. You don't really always get the best out of your people. It does not work out well. And we see here more of a literal survivor of the fittest mentality rather than a social one. But the idea is still present that if you can't succeed, then you don't deserve to succeed mentality. Not the best, and that's what the First Order is employing, and they don't prove that. Because what happens is, during the training exercise, that one pilot's name, Dorian, whatever his name, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter, like looks and all that. I forget the Star Wars character's name, but basically he gets hit and Tam saves him. So she doesn't get to shoot down all 3 drones, she only shoots down 2. Still more than any of the other pilots, may I add. But because of that, she doesn't get to be those trainees' squad leader because she saved him. Now, if the Resistance was doing this kind of training, yes, she probably would be made squad leader, even if she didn't shoot down a single drone. But the First Order mentality is like, he got hit, he doesn't deserve to be a pilot. So very different mentalities in training. The person who's training these new First Order pilots are, she's distant. She's observing them through a screen, through monitors and all of that. She's not there with them like Kaz and Yeager were with the Aces. And really, they were more training the Aces to work together more than training the Aces to be combat pilots. And the First Order, just their training is very different. It's much more regimented, not laid back at all, and very less stimulating environment. More authoritarian, because that's kind of the First Order's stick. But ultimately, what that really shows is that the First Order is like, you play by their rules, or you're not likely going to play by much longer. That's really what it's showing. And we can kind of see some, like, Tam still, has this mentality, she's, she could escape the First Order, she would do good in the Resistance. But she can't do good in the First Order unless they brainwash her. Which in that case, she's not helping them really, she's not hindering them, she's just a body for them. Bad way of putting it perhaps, but that's really how the First Order sees all its soldiers, as simple bodies and minds to use for their benefit. But in the Resistance, through the classes and the Aces, we get to see that people are a team, they work together. So in kind of summary, what this episode does is contrast the mentality of the Resistance to the mentality of the First Order, and how they're not only opposed politically and militarily, but also opposed culturally, at that very base cultural and social level. Like, those social structures are vehemently opposed. The way they approach training is different without a doubt. Which I think is a good thing to show us. Like, we already know it, we've been told it, but this time we're shown it. Which oftentimes showing is a lot better than telling. And one last thing before I close out this video. The three drones that the First Order uses in its training exercises seem to be X-Wings. What kind of X-Wings, I'm not sure. Could they be T-65s, T-70s, or T-80s, or whatnot? Who knows? There was really no good close-up in them, but they're painted black with red markings, and they kind of have like antenna under the wing, probably because they're drones instead of, actual pilots. No, I wouldn't put it past the First Order to actually use pilots in such a scenario. So, I don't know exactly what kind of ship they were, but they clearly looked like an X-Wing variant. Probably doing that because, that's what the rebels used and all that, and they would train their soldiers against those types of ships, which makes good sense. And one last thing I just remembered. In an episode of Rebels, we actually got to see Imperial training, and they use simulators a lot more than live-fire exercises. To begin with, I should say. And that kind of tells me something. The Empire killed the Empire wasn't as extreme in its social Darwinism and its survival of the fittest mentality than the First Order is. Which actually kind of makes sense, because the First Order's kind of whole shtick is a lot to, okay, we're taking the best aspects of the Empire and turning them up to 11, even if it harms us. Which, the best aspects of the Empire were often its worst. Authoritarianism turned up to 11 with the First Order. Social Darwinism and survival of the fittest. If you can't survive, you don't deserve to survive mentality. Turned up to 11. Like, everything about the First Order is pretty much the Empire turned up to 11. Except for corruption, it was turned down to negative 11 because they have no politics to deal with, they don't have to deal with political corruption. Except for they gotta deal with all the internal politics of being in the military as well, because guess what? That's still present in the First Order, as we've seen in the novels Phasma and a little bit in the novel Black Spire. I encourage you to read those two books if you want. My reviews are somewhere on my channel if you wish. Maybe I'll pop them up in the cards somewhere, I forget which side. But yes, that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to stay up to date on my future Star Wars Resistance reviews. Also, if you want to, in about a few seconds, a playlist and a video will be on screen. Please consider checking those out, as well as supporting me on Patreon, which there will be a link in the description, or in the end screen as well. And as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.